He wonders, right? Will he go up to be a bus driver? Or will he one day forget what he got done and take up to I think that is good. Yeah. It is
Okay, so this is also not relevant to EMS. Right, so the third option is going to be acquisition based growth, done already. So the next one is going to be joint development. Joint development base growth at EMS, right? So here what we are going to have is we are going to have at least two main methods, right or not? Okay. So one is going to be ownership based joint development. Joint development ownership based joint development. Then the other one is going to be contractual. Okay. Now what is this ownership based joint development? This will be joint ventures. Joint ventures where two or more firms joint ventures, this is where two or more firms will come together. To develop products or markets. Each partner will bring some unique resources or core competence to the partnership. They will share risk, rewards and control over the development. So now, how is this going to happen for EMS? For EMS, it has to identify a JV partner in each market. So to the very least, it will have three JV partners, one for each market, India, China and Russia. One for each market, India, China and Russia. Okay. Now for EMS, its qualification, it's its unique resources. It is its unique resources. The JV partners only provide access to markets. Only provide access to markets, yet they share profits and have control over EMS qualifications. And they have control over EMS qualifications. This is not a justified partnership. Hence, the JV is not suited to EMS. Why would you want to give control of your qualification to others, isn't it? They didn't build the qualification, it was yours. Okay. Right, then moving on from there, next one. What else do we have? Contractual based joint development. This can include franchising, this can include franchising as well as and licensing okay. Licensing. For EMS, it can license a range of cost providers in each target market to deliver the syllabus of the qualification. To deliver the syllabus of qualification, and each student is required to register directly with EMS register directly with EMS with a fee and to pay examination fees directly to EMS. EMS will still control the qualifications. EMS will still control the qualifications by conducting the exams, perhaps through a remote site. Okay, so what happens then? This option allows EMS to expand to other markets into other markets without losing control, yet earning revenue. So of all the method, what do we think? The contractual joint development is best suited for EMS. the contractual joint development is best suited for EMS. Okay, it's just like what ACCA is doing, isn't it? Right? It's just like what ACCA is doing. Okay. Right. So once you have done that, then what happens is, I think strategic choice is completed, right? Okay, strategic choice is completed. Okay, let's go and look at today's first slide. Yeah. Okay, corporate strategy done, business strategy done, growth and direction method also done. So with all that done, we still have one small area to go. What is that one small area? Right. Now that we have so many options, we have to do an evaluation of options. Evaluation of options to select the best option. To select the best option. Now to select the best option, there are two ways you can do it. The way we do it is using JSW's option evaluation. Option evaluation method, and that's quite simple. We will evaluate the option based on three criteria. Is the option suitable? We look at the suitability of the option, we look at the feasibility of the option, and we look at the acceptability of the option. Suitability, feasibility, and acceptability. 3. Or alternatively, in SBL, you can also switch to financial, non-financial. Financial and non-financial evaluation. Financial and non-financial. Financial and non-financial. Okay. So what we have to do is, if you look at your notes, the last page of book 1. If you look at the last page of book 1, you have got your evaluation of options there. Okay. So this evaluation of options will look at suitability, feasibility, and acceptability, right? So what is going to be the suitability, feasibility, and acceptability? To make it simple, we look at JSW's option evaluation framework. Option evaluation framework. So there are 3 ways of looking at this option. First one is, you got to look at suitability. So when you want to look at suitability, right? So all the options that you have to take and look at which option will resolve the given problem. Which of the option would address the concerns of the strategic position analysis. Strategic position analysis. Okay. Now, saying that is very easy. Now the next one is how to assess the suitability. How to assess the suitability is very simple. The first thing that you have to do is, does the option exploit the existing strength of the organization? Okay, does the option exploit the existing strength of the organization? Okay, if it does, then it is suitable. If it doesn't, then it is not suitable, right? So for that, what you have to do is you have to identify the strengths of the organization. Somewhere in the case or the exhibits, they would have mentioned this. Somewhere in the case or the exhibits, they would have mentioned this. Number 2, is the option aligned to the mission, besides the mission, the strategic aims, the objectives of the company. Again, these missions will be given to you in some exhibits. Okay, so you got to go and find that. So what do you need to find out first? What is the strength? Okay, what are the mission, the strategic aims, or the objectives? The third one is, does the option resolve the given problem or situation or needs? Again, this will be given to you in your exhibits. Does it resolve the problem or the situation or the needs? Okay, so if you say yes to all 3, then we know it is suitable. If it is not, then it is not suitable. Maybe the exhibit won't have everything, but it should have at least 1 or 2 of it, right or not? Okay, maybe not all, but you'll have 1 or 2 of it, right? So now we have finished suitability. Then the next one is going to be what? The next one will be to look at feasibility. We want to look at feasibility. Now, what is this feasibility all about? This feasibility is concerned if the option is viable. If the option is viable, possible. Okay. So then how do you assess feasibility? How do you assess feasibility? To assess feasibility, you need to consider, can the option be funded? What is the source of funding? Can the option be funded? What are the sources of funding? Is it from retained earnings? Gearing? Crowdfunding? How? Okay. Again, you got to go and look at your exhibits. Okay. Can the option be funded? Next one, after the option can be funded, can the option manage the rivalry? Is there going to be any competition that arises from the option? Okay, can you manage the rivalry? And last one, number 3, is this rational? Is this a rational option? If we talk our language, does it make sense? Okay, first of all, we want to find out whether it can be funded. Can it manage the rivalry? And is this a rational option? Okay, so that is for feasibility. Then from feasibility, the last one, what do you have? Acceptability. acceptability. Is the option acceptable, right? So when we talk about acceptability, we talk about acceptability to shareholders. Is it acceptable to shareholders? So here we got to assess the returns. Assess the returns of options, so some kind of financial management. So that means you got to do your ratios, you got to go and do all those kinds of things, right? Okay. Okay. Right. Besides financial management, we also need to look at, is the risk acceptable? Is the risk acceptable? Besides that, is this a healthy option? Healthy option here means, is it ethical? Is it ethical? And then you also need to look at impact on other stakeholders. Impact on other stakeholders. So to shareholders, okay, is the risk acceptable? Is the option ethical? And what is the impact on other stakeholders? What is going to be the impact on other stakeholders, right? So this one also you can split into what you can call financial, non-financial. Okay, anything to do with money, you put it under financial, right? So this is one option that you can use. Another option is you can either choose to use financial or non-financial. Okay, but first what we do is we do this question. All right, so for this you got to go to Stewart Rowe, SRG group, question on page number 114, question 1, part 2. Page 114, question 1, part 2. Okay, if you are ready, let's go and see the question. Right. Question number 1, part 2. Write a report that will evaluate the proposed acquisition. The proposed acquisition of Godiva Airport. So we are first going to do find SFA, suitability, feasibility, acceptability, or alternatively you can also talk about it under financial and non-financial perspective, right? So let's go and look. We have read most of the case. Yeah. The purchase of Godiva Airport. Okay. Godiva Airport is situated on the outskirts of Bulin town, where SRRT already has 3 depots and warehouses. The airport occupies a site of 450 hectares and it has 2 tarmac runways, 4 hangars and a small terminal flying club. The airfield is exclusively used by private flyers and 2 flying clubs. Okay, 2 flying clubs. The airport is adjacent to the motorway, which connects the north and south of Milan. Okay, north and south of Milan. So that means there is road transport. There is road transport. Okay. Then the next exhibit, they have given you the extract of financial statement. I'll leave this to you to process it. Okay, there's some financial position, there is some income statement, right? So you need to process that. So normally when you give this, they will automatically calculate ratios, isn't it? Right or not? Okay, don't ask me formulas for ratios because SBL does not give you formulas, right? All these formulas you're supposed to bring it up from your other papers. Okay. Next one, the Rome Group itself. Right, following the press statement released from Sir John Watt, he said that the Rome Group is pleased to announce that it has signed an initial agreement to purchase Godiva Airport from the Godiva Airport Company for a sum of 7 million, funded from retained profits from within the group, as we see this to be a natural extension of our transport capabilities. Road, rail and air have long been, road, rail and air have long been complementary forms of transport, and we are pleased to be able to offer our customers these three methods using our innovative container for an effective transshipment method between the transport mode. Who brought up the innovative mini container? SRR. We also hope to attract no-frill low-cost airline to the region or to the airport by a low landing fees, with over 150,000 people living 20 miles of the airport. Now, out of this 150,000, how many percent of them will normally use air travel? Right, so that is not said. Godiva Airport Company will become an operating company within the Rome Group and will be renamed. That's the good thing that they do always, isn't it? Stewart Rome Air. Okay. Critic from an independent aviation consultant. Okay. In an article on the proposed airport acquisition in the financial press, an independent aviation consultant has provided the national performance statistics for airports of similar size and the type of Godiva Airport in Exhibit 9. He has also cast doubt on Sir John Watt's statement about attracting low-cost airline to the airport, because he said a local regional population of at least 500,000 people is required to make such a service attractive. He believes that the population of the Berlin area is much too small to make passenger services economical. Okay, so this is the average, all given. So what you have to do now is you have to calculate for Godiva Airport, isn't it? Right, what was the Godiva Airport numbers? Where do you get these numbers? That's why they gave you this statement, right? So you take that statement and then you should be able to have it, right? So now what you need to do is you need to do the suitability. Okay, so you're going to evaluate the suitability. You're going to evaluate the appropriateness of acquiring Godiva Airport to be included into the Stewart Rome Group portfolio. Okay, so first you do your workings. Okay, so first you do your workings. How to do the workings? Simple only. So for suitability, answer these questions. To assess suitability, answer these questions. Right? What are the strengths of the organization? Is the option aligned to the mission objective? Does it resolve the problem given? Identify all this. Identify what is the strength of the company, what is the mission, the strategic aims and objective, and the problems or situation or needs. Okay, look at your question and then look at this and try to figure out. Okay, must find something, right or not? Okay, must find something. Okay. Okay, have you found? Right, first of all, what is the problem or the situation? Problem or situation that we get from the exhibit is there is intent to provide all modes of transportation: road, rail and air. Okay. Now, what is the mission or the objectives? Okay, I don't know whether you saw the mission and the objectives. Objective is fits well in the existing companies, benefit from being part of the company, and will also bring benefits to company already in the group, right? So the mission or the strategic aim or the objective is to attain synergy benefits. To attain synergy benefits. To attain synergy benefits so that Godiva Airport benefits from benefit to companies in the group and benefits from the companies in the group. Companies in the group. What is the strength of the company? The strength of the company is in the transport of food and drinks, and is a market leader in Milan. And is a market leader in Milan, right? So these are the things that we would look under that, right? Then from there you can go on and say whether is this going to be aligned to what the company does or not. Okay. So if you found all that information, you are on the ball now, right or not? Okay. Everything is in the exhibit, right or not? Okay. Nothing we have taken out of the exhibit context. Okay. Okay, so let's go and write the answer for this now. Okay. The suitability of the acquisition of Godiva Airport after this simply called GA. Okay, right. So how do we look? For the acquisition, to be suitable, for the acquisition to be suitable, it must attain the mission or the objective of the company. The SRG has an objective that all acquisitions must benefit companies in the group and in return also benefit from the companies in the group. This is a synergy rationale acquisition. Is a synergy rationale acquisition. Okay. In the past, it is seen that this objective has not been attained. Okay, this objective has not been attained. How do we know it has not been attained? Okay, in the case of SRR, yeah, we are coming to Godiva Airport, don't worry, we are building the case for this. In the case of SRR, FDRC then was used to transport oil, iron ore and coal by rail, and these are not the products that are transported by SRG. Since the products that are transported by SRG are food and drinks. Hence, there was no benefit to acquire FDRC and then became SRR. There was no benefit to acquire FDRC. Okay, this was a wrong kind of a product. Okay, now in the event that Godiva Airport is acquired, it can be said that the careless attitude in acquisition still continues. Now, why do we say that? The intent of Sir John Watt to have all mode of transport such as road, rail and air will not be attained. By the acquisition of GA. Now, why do they say that? Okay, simple. Huh? For road, SRRT has 2,000 trucks. Yes or no? Okay. For rail, SRR acquired locomotives and rolling stocks. For road you bought trucks, for rail you bought locomotives and rolling trucks. So for air capabilities, SRG will require planes and not airports. So if you look at companies like FedEx, UPS and all, They buy aeroplanes, isn't it? They don't buy airports. Right? Because why? Airports do not provide air capabilities. Do not provide air capabilities. Okay, do not provide air capabilities. Okay, do not provide air capabilities. It is likely that Godiva Airport will become another value trap. Will become another value trap. What's a value trap? That means there's no value in it. Right now, will become another value trap, just like SRR. Okay, but then it could also be worse than SRR, because at least for SRR, the supermarket, they are willing to consider using rail networks, right around. But Godiva Airport is not going to have anything. Okay. Besides, acquiring Godiva Airport will reflect another unrelated diversification. Acquiring Godiva Airport will reflect another unrelated diversification, because a new product in a new market. SRG has no competence in the management of airports, as it is a transport company by large. It's a transport company. Okay, its strength are in the transport of food and drinks, and to provide integrated transport and storage solution. Okay, its managers have limited competence and recently were unable to understand rail economics to manage SRR. The same inadequate experience can be expected in the management of Godiva Airport. In the management of Godiva Airport. Okay. So because of this, what do we think? We think that the proposed acquisition of GA is not suitable. The same thing that we did for MMI. Until Bodleian is recovered, they shouldn't consider buying IT. Right. So in this case, until you're able to recover from SRR, you shouldn't do any more unrelated diversification. Okay, you shouldn't do any more unrelated diversification. Okay, So go through the situation, see if you understand it, or is there any more clarification is required. Okay. Right. Then the next one is going to be what? Next one is going to be feasibility. Okay, so feasibility, what information you need to find out? Okay, find out this information. Can it be funded? How much is it going to cost? Where are we going to get the money for the funding? Everything. Okay, found anything here? It's estimated to cost us 7 million. Will be funded from the retained earnings of the group. From the retained earnings of the group. Question is, will there be an opportunity cost or not? Can the options manage rivalry? Rivalry will come in the form of road network. Okay, adjacent to the airport. Is a motorway. that connects the north and south of Milan. The north or south of Milan, and the transport of food and drinks is only within Milan. So maybe the road network, can be adequate. So why do you need to have air capabilities? You're not transporting it out of the country, isn't it? Is this rational option? No. It does not make sense. Not rational to buy an airport. It is not rational to buy an airport for air capabilities. Yes or no? Okay, so you got the same information. Very good. So now you can do the feasibility evaluation. Of acquiring GA. Okay. Now, for an option to be feasible, it must be able to gather funding for the option, and the option to gather funding for the option, and the option should be able to manage the rivalry that could emerge as a result of implementing that option. Last but not least, the option must have a rational outcome, or the option must be rational. Must be a rational option that makes business sense. Okay, that makes business sense, right? Okay. In the case of Godiva Airport, you can see the following. The first one, the airport will cost $7 million, and this has been agreed with the owners of the airport. And this has been agreed with the owners of the airport. The acquisition will be funded using the retained earnings of the group. The acquisition will be funded using the retained earnings of the group. But do you want to spend $7 million on this airport, or do you think it's better to spend the $7 million on trying to revive SRR? What do you think is better, right? So that's where we are going to bring in the opportunity costs. there is an opportunity cost to spend the 7 million. To spend the 7 million on an unrelated diversification, that is to acquire Godiva Airport. Okay, to acquire Godiva Airport. The money could be spent or could be invested on SRR to improve its capability. The money could be invested on SRR to improve its capability, to be able to support the transportation of food and drinks to supermarkets. Using a mix of trains and trucks. As this can reduce the carbon miles on foods and drinks delivered to the supermarket. Okay, but not spend it on the airport, right or not? Okay. Besides that, there are substitutes to the air capability in terms of roads. Because why? There is an adjacent to the airport that links the north and south of Milan. Okay, currently there are no tolls for roads in Milan. Currently, there are no tolls. There are no tolls for roads in Milan, making this a cost-effective mode of transport. Making this a cost-effective mode of transport. Right? So if this is already there, why do we want to go into air? And in fact, all deliveries are domestic deliveries. All the deliveries are domestic deliveries. That could be reached using roads and rails. Okay. Now the next one is the intent of Sir John Watt to attract low-cost airlines with a low landing fees. Sir John Watt to attract low-cost airlines with low landing fees is not feasible. Is not feasible. If the location was attractive, the low-cost airlines would have already landed in Godiva Airport. In Godiva Airport. As observed, by an aviation specialist, a population of 500,000 500,000 people is required to make air travel feasible. But the area of Bolin only has a population of 150,000, and this will not attract. Low-cost carriers. Okay. Right. Then moving on from there, what else can we say? Besides, as mentioned earlier, this is not a rational acquisition. This is not a rational acquisition, right? As the airport does not provide air capability. So this option is not feasible. This option is not feasible. So two things done already. Okay, suitability done, feasibility also done. So both we find them not to be suitable nor feasible. So next one is what? Acceptable. Okay. Okay, so next one is going to be acceptability. Okay, so this is the table where you have OPM. Then after OPM you have got ROCE. Then from ROCE you have got CR. Then you have got assets. Then finally gearing. Okay, right, so this is the industry average. and this is going to be Godiva Airport. So I'll do the most difficult one. You do the easier one. So OPM is at 17.5. 8.5 is ROCE for the industry. This is at 2.25. 1.50 and 40%. Okay, you calculate Godiva Airport. Okay, so you have your numbers. So the numbers should be the least of your problem, isn't it? Right, so the numbers that we have received from other groups will be like 15%. Then we have 2.1%. If you have your own numbers, provide them. 2.5. 1.13, and finally at about 59%. Okay, now okay, so now that you have that ready, now you can go on into the interpretation of the reports. Acceptability of the acquisition of GA. So 3 analysis you got to do: financial analysis, then you also have to do besides doing financial, you also have got to do risk and also the morality of it, right? So let's look at financial evaluation. So under financial evaluation, the first one that we have there is, right, this will be of concern to the shareholders, of SRG. Okay. The shareholders are family members. Of Sir John Watt, and their profit and risk appetite could vary from public shareholders. Okay. So the first thing that we looked at is OPM. Okay. OPM will indicate the ability of the company to return profits. To shareholders. Okay. When compared, the OPM of GA is lower than that of the industry average. Lower than the industry average. At 15%, okay, what can we use this 15% for? I hope you didn't forget this table. 10.8, 14.55, 4.75. Okay, so at 15%, Godiva Airport seemed to perform better than all the other business units in the SRG portfolio. However, this cannot be the single indicator. For the acquisition. The ROCE of the company. What does ROCE put? The ability of the company of the firm to generate performance utilizing the capital available. With an ROCE of 2.1, with ROCE of 2.1%, it is far lower than the ability of the industry average. And we look at it, even SRR is 3.5. Okay, is the ability of the industry average, and is much lower than the ROCE generated by SRR. Than the ROCE generated by SRR. Okay. Then when I look at gearing, the gearing is at 59% compared to just 40% of the industry average. This indicates that Gadiva Airport is dependent on gearing or on debt for its operations. Borrowings or gearing can be a burden on returns, or it can drag returns. So from a shareholder perspective, Godiva Airport seemed to be a poorly performing company, and SRG does not have the competence to parent this business and should avoid the acquisition. Okay, so that is the financial evaluation. After the financial evaluation, you got a little bit more just to do the risk evaluation. Okay, do you want to take the risk or we don't want to take the risk? I don't think so. We want to take the risk. Okay, right. So that is what we need to do next. Risk evaluation, then ethical obligation. Two areas only. For risk evaluation, what do we want to say? Okay, already mentioned, this is an unrelated diversification. And outside the competence of SRG. Furthermore, the uncertainties of SRR should be sorted out first. It may not be within the risk appetite of shareholders to have two value traps. In the portfolio, SRR and GA. The CEO should contain his acquisition lust. That means don't go out and keep buying things. Don't do shopping too much. His acquisition lust. Ethical obligation, there is nothing unethical. There is nothing unethical to acquire Godiva Airport as long as it is seen as a fair deal. as long as it is seen as a fair deal. No problems with that. However, being reckless and acquiring business units without due diligence and acquiring business unit without due diligence and putting the shareholders at risk is an unethical act. Is an unethical act. So, conclusion. So, what's the conclusion that we are going to make? It is clear from the above that the option is unacceptable. The option is unacceptable. So what should we do? Should we buy the airport or don't buy the airport? Don't buy the airport because the three tests, all the three tests, did anyone turn positive or not? Nothing turned positive. Everything turned negative, right? So the other way of doing this is to look at it from a financial and non-financial. Anything that is money-wise, you put under financial. Anything that's non-money, you can put it under non-financial, right? So what you should do is go back and relook at this question, right or not? Okay, go back and relook at this question. Again, I won't be seeing you tomorrow, right? So it's still another revision tomorrow. So that means the next lesson is only the coming week, right? So that's all for today. We will stop here, right?